What's going on, everybody, and welcome in. I'm your host, Mike Levenko, and welcome to Penguin Sports World, rather. So, today, we will cover all the sports' hottest headlines and news, and like I mentioned, I'm your host, Mike Levenko, and today we're here in the great Rookery Radio station. We're here in the Annex, the Cove, whatever you want to call it. There's two names for some reason, I believe. Anyway, we have a great show lined up for you guys tonight. So, starting off with the NFL, I mean, it's Week 13. We got big playoff, implications. We got the Minnesota Vikings with, we got big playoff stuff, but then we also have the Monday night game where we had Seattle versus the Vikings. Great game, beautiful Monday night game. That's what we like to see. And then we're going to talk about the NFL awards. So we got like MVP coming up, best team I would say in the NFL, and we have a playoff prediction. Then later in the show, we got the NBA regular season. Is on its way. It's about 20 games in. I'll give my predictions on the matchups and probably the finals, and then I'll give my votes for MVP, MVP, Most Improved, and Sixth Man of the Year. So let's get right into it. So for starters, we got the Minnesota Vikings losing 37-30 against the Seattle Seahawks. Now, it was a great game, right? And looking at the stats here, I mean, Kirk Cousins was 22 for 38, 2 touchdowns, a pick. Great touchdowns. I mean, the one was wide open, but the other one to Kyle Rudolph was a great one-handed catch. And I just didn't think in this game the Vikings ran the ball enough. Dalvin Cook did get hurt, but you have Alexander Madison, who's been pretty good this year. Dalvin Cook was 9 for 29 with a touchdown. Other than that, I mean, there's really nothing else too noticeable. I mean, a couple catches from Kyle Rudolph. Laquan Treadwell caught that long one. For Seattle, I mean, Russell Wilson played pretty great. Started off really slow, threw that weird interception to start, but it wasn't that bad, honestly. And yeah, I mean, Russell Wilson was 21 for 31, 2 touchdowns, that pick where he went to swat it down, he popped it into the air. So yeah, and I mean, Chris Carson, 23 carries for 102 yards, touchdown. Penny, 15 for 74, a touchdown, caught a touchdown as well, on a screen. They definitely seem like the 1-2 punch, Carson's their thunder, and Penny's their electric, First round pick, hasn't really panned out to this point, probably overdrafted, but has shown he's been an okay player so far, and, if he just gets more opportunities like this, then they'll be okay. DK Metcalf, 6 for 75. What a rookie. I mean, he's been playing pretty well this year. 1 yard short of a touchdown, got tackled at the 1. Then you had David Moore, caught the long one against Xavier Rhodes. Jacob Hollister did pretty well. Penny had that touchdown. Ty Lockett came up with a 0 in the stat sheet, but I don't know, man. I just wish he would have did a little bit more. But I mean, the game was turnovers, right? I mean, you had Dalvin Cook fumbled, hurt his shoulder on the play. Then you had CJ Ham lose a fumble, and a pick from Cousins. And those came back-to-back, those fumbles on 2 drives. So those are 2 drives where the Seahawks scored. So that was kind of a killer. I mean, Seattle had a 17-point third quarter. So that, that'll do it, So I mean, great game, though. Yeah, and I love Seattle. I think they're such a great team. I think Russell Wilson's easily, the best quarterback in the NFL. Like, zero doubts. I think he's amazing. So, but yeah, so moving on to my NFL awards, So, like I was saying, it was a great Monday night game, but moving on to my awards. For MVP, right? So, it kind of comes down to, I think, 3 to 4 players. So, you obviously have Russell Wilson and you have Lamar Jackson, right? There's the obvious given players. But there's a couple other ones, right? So you have Christian McCaffrey, who's been playing great this year, and I think you have Michael Thomas. Now, my MVP right now is going to be Russell Wilson, right? Team's 10-2, and I just wanted to compare him to Russell Wilson and Lamar Jackson because I think those are the 2 front runners. So, I mean, Russell Wilson this year, right? He's thrown for, let's see here. Wrong category. So he's thrown for about 264 yards a game, QB rating of 111. He's thrown 26 touchdowns to 4 picks, and he's rushed for 284 yards, 3 touchdowns this year, which is pretty good, right? But I mean, you got Lamar Jackson on the other hand. Lamar Jackson thrown for a lot less yards, but still playing pretty well. I'm definitely not saying he's been bad or anything like that. So I mean, he's passing for about 211 a game. He's passed for 25 touchdowns and 5 picks. That's good. But the killer is, I guess in Wilson's case, would be Lamar Jackson's on pace for over 1,000 yards for sure. He's at 977 and 7 touchdowns right now, and there's still 4 games left. So, I mean, he's still got plenty of time to make a big run. They're both 10-2, but my thing is, if you look at Russell Wilson and you take him out of Seattle and you put in, just say a backup quarterback, Geno Smith, right? Geno Smith is going to lead that team to probably 3 wins. Where Baltimore this year, their defense is playing so great. They're 9th in the NFL in total yards. A bunch of other stuff. They're playing really great defense. If you take out Lamar Jackson and put in RG3, I don't think that's a playoff team, but I definitely think that's a team that wins 6 to 8 games. Now, that might be crazy because RG3 isn't that great, but I don't think Lamar Jackson is either. I mean, Lamar Jackson's a great runner, and he's good at the intermediate game, but he can't throw downfield yet. We haven't seen it. He hasn't had to, but we haven't seen it. We haven't seen him how to play catch-up. That's going to happen, right? In the AFC, he's going to probably have to play the Chiefs. That's going to be a catch-up game probably for him, or a keep-up game, I should say. Patriots, I never ruled them out to figure it out by the end of the year. Their offense hasn't been as great, but they can do this. They're a team that always comes back, and if they get one receiver somehow, if they figure something out, if Keanu Neal, not Keanu, if Keneal Harry steps up, the rookie, first-round rookie pick, and he ends up being a big part of this offense, and Mohamed Sanu, and they can figure it out and rally around. It's so hard to pick. And I just think I trust Russell Wilson more. And when I look at MVP, I don't look at stats, right? I do, but I don't. That's not the deciding factor for me. What the deciding factor for me is if who I think is the best player and who I think is truly more valuable to the team. I think if you take both of them out and you put in their backups, I think Russell Wilson takes that from a 10-2 team to probably a 3-9 team. Where I think Baltimore right now probably about 5-7 or 6-6 right now with 12 games. I really believe that. I'm looking at their schedule right now, and like Baltimore, this is the remaining teams. This is what Baltimore's defense has done, right? So Baltimore Ravens schedule. So far this year, Baltimore has given up points to obviously everybody, but like week 1, right? 59-10. That was Miami. Then Cardinals to give up 17. Chiefs to give up 33. That's a lot, right? Browns give up 40. But then after week 4, they start to shut people down. Steelers to give up 23. Bengals to give up 17. Seattle 16. Patriots 20. Bengals 13. Texans 7. Rams 6. And then on huge game, 49ers, who are 10-2 as well, are 9-3 now, give up 17. So the defense is playing great. And I just think that you take that out, and then with Seattle's defense right now, I mean, Seattle is putting up, let's see here. So Seattle's defense is not playing very good. They're okay against the pass, but not good against the run at all. So they've given up 20 to the Bengals, 26 to the Steelers, 33 to the Saints, 10 to the Cardinals, 29 to the Rams, 28 to the Browns, 30 to the Ravens, 20 to the Falcons, 34 to the Buccaneers, 24 to the 49ers, held the Eagles to 9, and then 30 against Vikings. So they're giving up 25 to 30 points every week, where Baltimore has held their opponents to under 20 a couple times. So I just think at MVP votes, Russell Wilson's the guy. He's the best quarterback in the NFL by far, 100%, no doubts in my mind. 100%. If I started a team with anybody, it would be him. The other guys, Christian McCaffrey, he's putting up crazy, crazy stats. I mean, look at these numbers. I'm just going to read them off to you real quick. I mean, so far this year, he's rushed for almost 1,200 yards, 12 touchdowns, right? He's averaging 5 yards a carry. Then receiving, he has 75 catches for 644 yards and 4 touchdowns. Averaging about the same amount of yards per game as last year, so he's going to probably finish around 800 to 900 unless he's a big game. His touchdowns, he might get more. He's going to probably finish with 100 catches. He's already at 75 in 4 more games, so, there's a chance he gets 100 again. He's super good. And Mike Thomas has over 100 catches, might break the NFL record, but at the end of the day, it's a quarterback's award, and that's why I think that it's Russell Wilson's. It's going to be tough, though. It definitely comes down to these last couple games, who wins, who loses for the MVP vote. Best team, though, I think it is Baltimore Ravens. we'll talk about them a little bit more when we get to my playoff picture. I think they're the most complete team. I think they're super good, obviously, and I think they're bound for the Super Bowl this year. I really do. I mean, I think the only team they really have to fight against is going to be the Patriots, who are like obviously super good and like historic. But I just think that Russell Wilson, or not Russell Wilson, I think Lamar Jackson's good enough to get them past, and I think the defense is good enough to hold some teams out. If especially if the Patriots don't figure it out, because they need to, desperately need to figure it out. So playoff predictions. I mean, these are my playoff teams as of right now, so I don't mean to keep reading from my phone. But number one, I have the New England Patriots, right? So the Patriots, I mean, they're 10-2, and their remaining schedule, Chiefs, Bengals, Dolphins, Bills. They could beat all those teams. Maybe not Chiefs, but, I mean, Chiefs is tough, of course. But they have the ability to beat the rest of those teams pretty easily, I think, because they have the Bills' numbers for years. And the Bills are good, but I don't think the Bills will beat the Patriots. Number two is the Baltimore Ravens. Bills, Jets, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh are the remaining teams. I don't know why I went with cities and teams there, but so Bills, Jets, Browns, Steelers. I think they can easily beat Cleveland and Pittsburgh and the Jets. I think the Bills is probably their tough one because their defense is so good, but I think they can beat the Bills as well. Number three seed in the AFC West is Kansas City Chiefs. They have the remaining. They have the Patriots, Broncos, Bears, Chargers, which I think they can win. I think they'll beat Broncos and Chargers, and I think they can beat the Bears. That's going to be a tough one. They'll lose to the Patriots. And then the Houston Texans are my number four seed in the AFC South. I think they end up winning it over the Titans. I have said the Houston Texans are 4, the Broncos, Titans, Buccaneers, Titans. Now, this is a weird situation, right? Because I'm gonna jump down a little bit. So as of right now, let me pull this up really quick here. NFL playoff. Okay, so the playoff picture right now is a weird one. So the Titans are currently standing at 7-5, and the Raiders are 1 game behind, right? But I think the Texans, this is their schedule: Broncos, Titans, Buccaneers, Titans. So they have to play the Texans twice, right? So if the Texans win both those games against the Titans, that's 2 games down. Then Oakland plays the Titans this week. So if Oakland wins this game and the Titans end up losing both, and then they say the Raiders win out, then the Raiders have a chance to make playoffs over the Titans, and I think they do that. I don't trust the Titans. I don't trust Ryan Tannehill, and I like Derek Carr this year. He's been playing great. I think the running back situation is great. I think Josh Jacobs is the next great guy. And I think they can sneak in with the 6th seed. I don't think they do it too much because that defense is kind of bad, but I like the Raiders' chances this year. Buffalo Bills, I mean, they're pretty much clinched at a wild card spot or maybe division lead if they can somehow beat the Patriots. Ravens, Steelers, Patriots, Jets are their remaining. I think they probably lose to the Ravens and maybe the Patriots, but they're going to beat the Jets and Steelers. But, I mean, it is a Josh Allen thing to do to just, like, lose all those games, you know? But, yeah, I mean, so I got the New England Patriots 1, Baltimore Ravens 2 seed, Kansas City 3, Houston Texans 4. Then you got Buffalo Bills at the wild card, and then you have the Oakland Raiders, I think, getting the 6th seed there. Then you have the NFC, right? So you got the Seattle Seahawks at 1. The remaining schedule, Rams, which they can beat the Rams. Panthers just lost Ron Rivera, and Kyle Allen hasn't been playing as well as he did to start the season. Then you got the Cardinals, 49ers. I think Seattle can beat all those teams. New Orleans Saints at 2. New Orleans Saints, 49ers, Colts, Titans, Panthers remaining. I think they can win all those games as well. I think 49ers is the big one here for all these teams. Green Bay Packers, right? Easy schedule coming up. Redskins should be able to smoke the Redskins. Bears should be able to beat the Bears. Vikings, that's their tough game. And then Lions, I think Matt Stafford is going to probably miss the rest of the season with his broken backbone. So I don't really trust. I don't think that the Bears can win an important game, especially Mitch Trubisky, because he's terrible and they need to figure something out there. And I mean, number 4, it's a tough division right now, like terrible. It's the Dallas Cowboys at number 4. So the Eagles are only 1 game back. The Cowboys are 6-6, and the Eagles are 5-7. But I think when it comes down to it, they end up winning the division because they have the Bears, who I think they can beat, the Rams, which are going to be a tough one, Eagles, who I think they beat, and the Redskins. So I think Dallas can end up getting the 4 seed. Now, that leaves wild card, right? San Francisco 49ers at the 5th seed in the wild card is what can happen. And because they have a tough schedule too coming up. So they play the Saints, where I don't know if they win that game. I don't think they do. Falcons, they probably beat the Falcons. Rams, that's a tough game as well. I think they probably beat the Rams. And then Seahawks, right? There's no chance I think they beat the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are so good. And then 6th seed, you got the Minnesota Vikings. You got the Lions, Chargers, Packers, Bears. They can win all those games except for Packers, I think. I think they do have a legit chance to beat every one of those teams. The Bears, though, Kirk Cousins needs to win a last game to probably make the playoffs, make them the wild card game or win a division, and he'll choke against the Bears. That's just the Kirk Cousins way to do it. But I mean, I don't know if that's obviously going to happen. No one knows. But I think that's kind of the Kirk Cousins thing to do. We've all seen it before. So, but yeah. So rundown of the NFC. I have the Seattle Seahawks, New Orleans Saints at 2. Green Bay Packers a 3 seed, Dallas Cowboys 4. Then the wild card spots, I got San Francisco 49ers and the Minnesota Vikings. So I mean it's a tight one this year. So that's it for the NFL segment. We'll cut to a quick break, but when we come back, we'll talk about the NBA playoffs and the NBA current standings and some of my awards for those players. So we will be right back after this short commercial break.
Youngstown State University, set in the heart of downtown Youngstown, is known as one of the most premier colleges in Ohio. From its high-rated education standards to its low tuition costs, YSU is the place for you. YSU has a wide variety of majors, minors, and areas of study, which makes finding what you want to pursue a breeze. For more information, visit ysupenguins.com/info or call us at 555-678-1111.
Welcome back, everybody, to Penguin Sports World. Now, what's going on, everybody? We're back, and we're here to talk NBA. Now, the NBA playoff picture is another crazy one, man. It really is another crazy. There's so many games. That's the problem with the NBA playoffs. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, should the NBA change their playoff strategy? Should they change the playoff method? I mean, the thing is, should the 8 teams from each division make it, right? Each conference, rather, East and West. Or should it just be the top 16 teams? I think it should be top 16 because I never really understood why they do divisions and conferences. I never understood that. I don't know why each team doesn't just – because especially in the NBA, right? Because you have 1, 2, 3, 4 – I mean, you have 30 teams, right? Why don't you just make the season – 60 games to where every team plays each other twice. You know what I mean? Like I just feel like that would make more sense, where you just have every single person play every single team twice and not have these interconference battles where like I don't know, like Cleveland plays like the Nets like 4 times a year. Like why do they play the Nets? Like just have them play the Lakers twice and then the Pistons twice and then make the season shorter too. It doesn't need to be 82 games. That's just what I think. I mean, I never, like I said, I never understood. Maybe for traveling reasons, make the traveling easier on players and stuff. Because if you're on the East Coast and you're playing East, you're not traveling across the country to California from Cleveland, right? So, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know down. Let me know down in the comments on YouTube. Let me know. But let's talk about the NFL playoff standings. My predictions for the playoffs. So, number 1, I got the Milwaukee Bucks. Man, I just think they're so deep. Giannis is great. Going to be battling for MVP. I mean, there's really not much to say. I mean, they're great. They lost Malcolm Brogdon, which sucks. But I mean, they're still. What are they like? They lost like 6 games, I think, this year, or 3. I think they might have lost 3 so far. Yep, they're 18-3. They won like the last 10 out of their 10. They're on a 12-game win streak, so they're playing great. Number 2. I had the Toronto Raptors. I think with Siakam there, I mean, he's great. He's a candidate for most improved player. I just think that team's pretty good. You still got Kyle Lowry there, who isn't great, honestly, but like you still have Serge. You still have a lot of good players. Is what I'm saying, that they know how to make a playoff run. Of course, losing Kawhi sucks, but You never know what's going to happen there. Then I have the Philadelphia 76ers, who are currently at the 5th seed. I had them at 3. I just think Ben Simmons coming back from injury, and you have, Joel Embiid if he stays healthy with a lot of other people there. And Tobias Harris is super good. You finally have Al Horford, so you have another good center where, you're not losing anything. If you take, Joel Embiid, or if Joel Embiid gets hurt, then you have another center that's obviously not as good, but still like a really good center. So 76ers. Then number 4, I got the Boston Celtics. The one thing I didn't understand here is you lose Al Horford, but then you replace Kyrie with Kemba Walker, who's like the same exact player. Not saying that Kemba's bad, because Kemba definitely is not a bad player, but I mean, look at his stats. I mean, his career averages is 20 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, right? This season is averaging 21 points, almost 22, about 5 rebounds, 5 assists, which is great, but you just replace Kyrie with a worse version of Kyrie, I think. I don't think that's a recipe for success there in playoffs. It's not. So, but I mean, I will say though, Kemba's clutch. Though Kemba is a clutch player that doesn't underperform. Kyrie has had big shots, but also missed some big shots too. The Miami Heat, right, number 5. They're currently the 2 seed. I think that starts to fade because, I mean, who's their true superstars, right? They don't have one. Jimmy Butler, but then Jimmy Butler's also the guy that I don't trust to win a playoff series. He's been on so many teams and he just hasn't really done it. So I don't know. I don't know if I really trust them. But number 6, I have the Indiana Pacers, who are a team I actually like, kind of like a dark horse team. I love Sabonis. I think he's a super talented player coming out of Gonzaga, man. I mean, him and Kyle Wiltshire were such a duo there. I'm surprised Wiltshire isn't in the league right now, but they were such a great, Hall of Famer dad. You know the story. He's great. Malcolm Brogdon, he's super. He's an improved player too. That's looking like a award candidate. You have him, T.J. McConnell, who's a great guard coming off the bench. So you just have a lot of players there. And Miles Turner's a great shot blocker. I think that's definitely a dark horse team. Then you got the Detroit Pistons, right? 7. This is a weird one because they're not even in playoff contention right now. I mean, they're the 9th seed. They're one back, but Blake coming back from injury, right? Andre Drummond in the middle being a beast, man. I mean, averaging like 14 rebounds a game. Actually, let's look real quick. I think they're okay, not worried about it, but I think that he's averaging over 15 rebounds a game. Blake is their main scorer. He's their leading scorer. D Rose, athletic guard. You got Luke Kennard, who's like averaging like 16 points a game, shooting the ball like crazy good. He's a JJ Redick clone. He's just a great player, man. And I just like their team. The bench is weak, but with Blake there, and I think they end up making a trade for a superstar, man. I mean, imagine if DeRozan goes there. Not a lot of 3-point shooting. It's going to be a big attacking team because DeRozan can't shoot threes at all. And Blake's probably their best shooter other than Luke Kennard, truthfully, which is weird to say. But I just think that when you like look at a team like that, they're a team that's dangerous because they're so talented all around. Like their starting lineup, their bench is weak, like I said. But I mean, you can kind of get away with having a bad bench, I think, because if you do that, you're gonna have a kind of a big 3 situation, kind of like in Golden State. Sorry about that. So where Golden State, what they would do is they could afford to sit out Curry, right? Because they had Kevin Durant, right? And they could play Kevin Durant, and then when Curry comes back in the game, sit Kevin Durant, and then you have Clay in. So you have Clay, Draymond, and him. And then you need to bench Clay, right? Because Clay's tired. You bring Kevin Durant back in, or you just play Curry and let Curry and Draymond just kind of handle it out there for a little bit, and then everyone comes back, or whatever. You can sub out. In this situation, right? Say they were to bring in DeRozan. I don't know if they probably have to give up Luke Kennard. I hope they do. They wouldn't. But maybe the Spurs are just going to look for draft picks and try to get out from under his salary, right? So if they do that and they just take some draft picks and you get to keep kind of the rotation and maybe they give up somebody off the bench that's like not good, it's like salary cap stuff. I think they could definitely move up and make playoffs there. And then number 8, I have the Brooklyn Nets, right? So the Brooklyn Nets, they're another good team. No Kevin Durant this year, but they are so deep. I was looking at their roster. Karis LeVert, Jared Allen, who's a great rim protector, Kyrie, DeAndre Jordan, Spencer Dinwiddie, just Joe Harris, Kevin Durant when he comes back. They're a team that's going to probably make playoffs at the 8th seed, maybe higher. I mean, they might be higher because they're so talented and deep. and like even Wilson Chandler on that team is still like okay. It's just like they're pretty deep. So I definitely think they have a chance if Kevin Durant can come back. I don't think he will this season, but next year they'll be looking at a good run there. In the West, got the Lakers at 1. They're going to probably stay there. LeBron and Anthony Davis. They could struggle because Anthony Davis is just going to get hurt. I mean, it's just what happens every single year. He misses a bunch of games. The Clippers at 2. We'll just move on from that. Clippers at 2. I mean, I just think they have a chance to get the 1 seed if they really want, if they just play Kawhi. Kawhi just needs to play more. He hasn't set out a ton of games, but it's the back-to-backs that he's not playing and stuff like that. Or if they have if they're like a 3-game stretch, he'll play like 1 or 2 and won't play the third. Stuff like that to keep him healthy, which I respect. But like, you need to play them so they get better chemistry and things of that sort. And I mean, him, Paul George, Lou Will, and Harrell. I mean, Montrezl Harrell. I mean, that's just like a great core. That's a great core that's going to last them a couple years, man. They're going to be a serious contender for sure. Number 3, I got the Houston Rockets. They're kind of down right now. They're at the number 5 seed, I believe, right now. Let me check just to make sure here. Yeah, so they're at the number 5 seed behind Dallas and the Nuggets. I think they move up just because Harden's just a regular season warrior, man. I mean, he'll get his team to up there. I hate the combo Russell Westbrook and him. I just think they're both the same player that are not my favorites. I mean, they're both players that shoot the hell out of the ball, and they're not efficient at all. Harden's been better, but Russell Westbrook's like the worst shooter ever, and he just chucks, man, and I hate it. Not that he's bad, and then this year too, he's looked different. He's looked less explosive. He's looked less, I guess explosive, I guess is the word. I mean, he just doesn't, a lot more layups, a lot less dunks, a lot less attacking the rim, or a lot more finesse where about a week and a half maybe, the Rockets played the Clippers, right? And there was one where it was a fast break, and Russell Westbrook would dunk it normally, and he just went up for a soft layup, and he missed it. And I was like, and he did it again on another play where he ended up getting contested. But like Westbrook would have went 100 miles an hour and dunked it, or like did an acrobatic layup that was actually like an attacking layup, not like a soft like reverse layup that's like for a finesse player, which he isn't like really necessarily. So I don't know, man. I don't know if it's just he's getting older. He's like 30 or 31. I don't think that's the case necessarily. I just think it's maybe he's just taking it slow and like not trying to wear himself out, especially because the Rockets, because he had to fight all regular season, right, to get Oakland or OKC to the playoffs. He had to. With the Houston, man, he can take a game off or two, and they'll be fine. So, number 4, moving on. Number 4, I had the Denver Nuggets. Their team's deep too. Torrey Craig, Emmanuel Mudiay, or not Emmanuel Mudiay. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I'll think of his name, but what is his name, man? How am I forgetting that? Whatever. Point guard, he's super good. He's their leading scorer. You got players all over the place there, and they're another team that if Jokic can stay like consistent, and he's gonna have to be the player that they rally around, the facilitator, the go-to scorer. It's gonna be him. But I like their team. Number 5 at the Dallas Mavericks. Their team's just not deep at all. It's Porzingis and it's Doncic, who's probably my MVP. We'll talk about that later. I just think they're just not deep. They don't have they have a lot of okay players, and then they got 2 superstars, right? And Porzingis got to play better. I mean, he's playing good, but he needs to be more consistent. He's had a lot of good games, bad games. So he needs to pick it up too. And are they going to be able to keep this pace? Is Luka going to be able to keep up this high scoring, the triple double that he's averaging, or just about? It's going to be close. Number 6, the Utah Jazz, man, they're another good team I like. It's Mike Conley's year to shine. It's his year to finally get out of Memphis. Playoff contender, has the players to do it. Donovan Mitchell's the good player, man. I mean, he's the superstar there. He's the next and upcoming player. I don't think they go too far. They just haven't had success. I think Ricky Rubio on your team is just kind of like a liability. He's great facilitating, he's a good passer and everything, but he's not a scorer at all. He's a decent shooter, decent. So I don't know, man. I just think Utah, they're gonna be, I think maybe a surprise good team, a tough team to play against, but I don't think they make it too far. Portland Trailblazers at 7. I mean, the whole Carmelo thing is just freaking. I hate Carmelo. Carmelo's the embodiment of a player that I do not ever want on my team ever. He's the worst kind of superstar you could have for a team, right? Doesn't pass, kind of rebounds, but not really for a small forward. I mean, like, he plays power forward, small forward, doesn't rebound enough, right? He's not a big. So he's a good shooter, but he's a freaking streaky shooter, if anything. He has to shoot the ball 35 times to make 15 of them, and make 20. He's never going to shoot you in a season. He's never going to be a high, he's never going to be in the 60s. Not 60s, but, he's never going to be above, like, probably 50, where LeBron is. He's going to be, like, the 42, which I just don't want on my team, personally, as a superstar. I don't want him. But, I mean, like, you got the duo there, right? You got CJ McCollum and Dame Dalla. I mean, Damian is just the embodiment of clutchness. He's the guy that I love, man. He's clutch. He just comes to play, and I absolutely adore his play. CJ McCollum, a great shooter too. They're going to be a good team. I think they definitely step up from 7 right now. Or right now they're 11th. I think they end up making the 7th seed, and then they knocked the Timberwolves down. Timberwolves at 10. I just don't trust them. I think that Andrew Wiggins' experiment is over. They realize what they got. It's like not a great player. I mean, good. He's like a good role player. He would be like a good dude, like if he went to like the Lakers. You know what I'm saying? Where he doesn't have to be the main guy, but he can be a guy that's like around everyone, and then he'll put up his 15 points a game, and he'll shoot pretty not great. He'll shoot like low 40s, and that's kind of like a place for him. So, just run these back real quick. So I had in the East, in the 1 seed, I got the Milwaukee Bucks. Number 2, the Toronto Raptors. 3, the Philadelphia 76ers. 4, the Boston Celtics. 5, Miami Heat. 6, Indiana Pacers. 7, Detroit Pistons. 8, Brooklyn Nets. 1, I got the Lakers in the West. 2, Clippers. 3, the Houston Rockets. 4, the Denver Nuggets. 5, the Dallas Mavericks. 6, the Jazz. 7, the Trailblazers. And 8, the Timberwolves. Now that's out of the way, we got awards. Now I did 3 awards. I did MVP, Most Improved Player, and Sixth Man of the Year. I think MVP is going to go to Luka if he keeps up the triple-double, right? If he finishes with a triple-double, they have to give it to him. If he starts to dip under that, I think it'll be Harden. But I'm going to go with Luka, right? So Luka right now is averaging 30.6 points a game, 9.6 assists, 9.9 rebounds, and he's shooting 48.3% from the field. So he's shooting almost 50%, and from 3, shooting 33, which isn't great, but still good. James Harden in comparison, 38.9 points. So he's having like 8 more points than him. 7.8 assists, 5.9 points a rebound, 44.6 field goal percentage, and 33.5 from 3. You can really make a case for any. They're both going to be playoff contenders. I just think that I like Luka a lot more. I like his style of play. I think Harden's assists feel forced, where Luka needs those. Like, he needs those assists to win. He finds the open man. I like Luka a lot. Most Improved Player, I'm going to do Brandon Ingram. It could be Pascal Siakam or a couple other players, really. Malcolm Brogdon's another. But Ingram's jump is just so much, right? The only way I think he doesn't win this award is if they decide to give it to like Malcolm Brogdon because his team's in the playoffs, or Siakam because they're probably going to be like the top 5 seed. And the Pelicans, who Ingram plays for, probably won't make playoffs. So Ingram went from 18.3 points to 25.5 from last year, right? So he went up 8 points. Yeah, 8 points. His assists went up from 3 to 4. Rebounds went up from 5.1 to 7.4. Of course, there's no Zion, so these might dip a little bit, but I don't expect Zion to be back anytime soon. And then field goal percentage, right? It dropped a percent, but like I'll take that if you're scoring 6 more points a game or 7 more points a game. And then from 3-pointer, this is the big jump. 33 even percent last year. He's up to 41.8. He's almost shooting 42%. He's up 9%. That's insane. That's a jump. Yeah, and then Sixth Man of the Year, moving on to my last award before we end the show. Sixth Man of the Year, I got Lou Williams from the Clippers. I mean, the other day when I mentioned the Houston game I watched, man, he came in clutch. He hit 2 back-to-back threes and had a layup that brought him back from like the 10-point deficit, went on a 7-0 run himself, and they end up winning the game. So he's just a clutch player, man. And he's definitely stepping up for when Kawhi isn't playing. So Lou Will, he averages about 22 points a game, 21.7. 6.3 assists, 3.4 rebounds, shooting about 43%, which isn't great, but it's fine. That's Lou Will. Lou has always been like a heavy shooter, and 37.5% from three-pointer range was really good. So, I mean, that's kind of the awards I got. I mean, I mean, let me know who you disagree with. I don't think you could really make a tough argument for a lot of others. I mean, not trying to sound cocky, but a lot of those teams are pretty good, but not great. A lot of those players, the arguments are so hard to make just because there's so many different things that factor in, and no award has a definitive requirement. Like you don't ever. I don't know how to phrase it. Like kind of with the NFL MVP, is it most valuable player or is it the best player statistically? Right? Do you look at how many points they score? Like NBA. Who has the most points? What does the team factor in how the team does? Or are we talking about just best player? Are we talking about most valuable player to the team, right? Because like if you do that every year, it could be LeBron, right? The Clippers without Kawhi are winning. Lakers without LeBron, they're just the Pelicans with Anthony Davis making maybe an 8 seed. Last year you saw it; they didn't even make the playoffs. So it's just stuff like that. So I guess that's the show. I want to thank you guys so much for listening. We had a great time. So we had a great time today. First show. I want to thank you guys so much for listening. And I mean, let me know down below, in the comments what you think, or follow me on Twitter, at EvankTheTank. That's at EVANKTHETANK. Or follow me on follow the show. I mean, we're at Penguin Sports World on Twitter, so follow us there. And let me know who your MVP is down below, and if you disagree with any of my other awards. And so we will see you guys next time. Check you next time.